أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير الناصر ومعين. Thank you very much for those who have participated in this topic. May I ask muting of the old microphone, please? The, the reason that I've raised this issue as a topic was it started from my last Muharram, the discussions that I had, and then some of the people whom I cannot see any of them here except one from Sydney, and they have asked several times that I discuss the fundamentals of why when I talk about, especially I bring some of the quantum stuff and vibrations and some of these laws of attraction. They wanted to know more about where if whether there is any religious root in this, or if whether these things are coming or are having any collision with the religion. So that's what it was, at the request of those people. So nevertheless, we will discuss it, and it's not only them. I have noticed in my experience that a lot of times people have resentment about these issues, and because I will explain it when I get to the topic, that this is the belief with many people, that they see a dichotomy between science and the revelatory knowledge, and that is going to be discussed slightly, very, very briefly. So inshallah, we will start that, and then we will see how we get there and how the words will come to my tongue, and I verbalize it. I just wanted to tell you, because in my last session, unfortunately, I had a bit of technical problem. My laptop went off. It may happen again. I don't know. I've prepared my tablet next to me, so I'll go on from my tablet if it happens. But anyway, just be prepared. Just give it a few minutes that I can come back if it happened, until I've hopefully fix my computer. All the shops are closed these days. And now let's get on to the main topic. Where is my PowerPoint? Can you see all my screen? Just one person tell them you can?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So how to make powerful dua, and it's a discussion, and I like to reiterate our slogan, which is worship smarter, not harder, which means to gain knowledge. And that's the recommendation of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to Imam Ali alayhi salam. But he said, I think Prophet said, with contemplation and tafakkur. That's what he said. And tafakkur, to do tafakkur, you also need knowledge. So hopefully, inshallah, we are going on that path of, and I tell you, I just make a comment here. When we say worship smarter, not harder, I know for a lot of people, gaining knowledge is harder. And they mostly, I explain, mostly a lot of people are feeling more comfortable and easier to deal with rituals rather than gaining knowledge. But anyway, that is it. Okay, what we are going to cover in this topic will be few vocabs. I explained about few vocabularies, that so that we are on the same page about it. And then I show you a short clip, if can dua achieve extraordinary. And then an introduction, a paradigm shift, which is normally within my talks, but always, of course, depending on the topic, I might choose the different things to talk about. And religion and rituals are like soul and body, laws of vibration, and especially about this, our main topic, I'll show a video clip. There is a short video clip, because some of these things are scientific, but they are very short and they are not really very technical. So they just to grasp the overall idea. Positive and negative energy in Quran and Hadith. Imam Ali saying, main principles of quantum and their impacts on our life, 4 types of prayer, language of dua, and steps of fair quantum prayer. There are different steps too, so that's I've left that for the last. But today we mainly trying to cover only that part to do with the vibration and laws of vibration and positive and negative energy in Quran. And inshallah, hopefully we'll relieve the rest to the second session, which goes from Imam Ali's sayings onwards towards the end of the topic. It will be a 2-session discussion, inshallah. And if you have any question, please keep just note down your questions so that at the end of my talk, if there is time left, we will allow some question and answer. Because I've got some meeting, I have to attend some meeting with on business side. I hope if I couldn't do it tonight, I promise you for the next session, I'll allow a good amount of question and answer. And okay, those few vocabs. This word is probably very commonly used, and most of the people know about it. But just in case, I put it consciousness. Consciousness is a very trendy word these days. A lot of people and in a lot of areas they talk about consciousness. The word itself is not an old name, and it's not an old word, but the application of this word has become to highlight, to spotlight, and being used in different branches of the science, in neuroscience, in quantum, and these are of course maybe in other sciences as well, but I'm mainly on these two I usually have spent more time, so I hear it very much there. So consciousness is awareness, and awareness, I give you an example of how awareness is different from knowing. It is different in terms when it comes to that global term of consciousness. See, if a person has got some problem on the right in his right brain, so that he cannot see the left, right? And if you show him 2 photos, which is a photo of a house, and in one of the photos, on the left side of the photo, there is some flames of the fire. And you tell to that person who cannot see the left side, so he cannot see the fire. If you tell them, what do you see? So there's 2 houses, one next to each other. One is in house, exactly the same house with everything the same, except a few flames coming over from the other window out. If he or she looks at them, if you ask him, he says it's identical houses. He doesn't see any difference between the 2 houses. Whereas we know that because we don't have that damaged vision, we can see one of them is in fire. But if you ask him, which of these houses are you going to choose to live in, he will never put his finger on the one with the flame. He always shows the one without the flame. The reason is his or her awareness is processing the information, and that information comes from his overall awareness, which encompasses everything there. He may not see the fire, but he can detect this house is better than that house. So I wanted to show you the difference between awareness and knowing. Awareness is not just simply knowing alone. Okay, and these terms are also, sometimes they become too technical, and in every branch of the science they might have different technicalities and some differences in the meanings. There is another word, is called universal consciousness. Universal consciousness is consciousness that created the creation. Basically, it is a consciousness which we as Muslims, maybe other religions do a similar thing. We attribute that to a creation of the Almighty, who has created this consciousness through which he has created the whole creation. The reason we do that, or the reason I say that, because these terms are not too much yet gone to the religious books and materials. So these are, I'm not quoting it from somewhere. I'm only saying from what I've learned in philosophy and Irfan, this universal consciousness very much coincides or goes hand in hand, you can say, probably interchangeably use this word with Haqiqat Muhammadiyya in Irfan Islami, and in or Aql Awwal, the first intellect, or the in quantum level, they call it zero level. So there are different terminologies in different contexts, but they're all referring to universal consciousness. Is a consciousness which is aware about the whole creation and has created the whole creation. And the other word is the other thing, which is positive energy. Positive energy, it is very simple word. Everyone understands what it does, what it is. But it is a positive feeling with the hope of achieving a positive outcome. So that is basically what a positive energy is, or anticipation of good. So if you look at all these terminal in all these meanings, you can say it is hopefulness. You are hopeful of receiving good, right? So this is the meaning of positive energy. Allow a little bit to my lazy computer. Okay. Negative energy. What is negative energy? If you go into physics, of course, these terminologies will be different. Positive energy and negative energy in physics are two different things. But in the context that we are talking, negative energies and negative feeling, not hoping to achieve a positive outcome, or another word is hopelessness. When you are hopeless, that you are creating negative energy, or you have negative energy. Or you can say, if you have negative energy, you create hopelessness in you. Okay, what is vibration? Again, vibration in physics is just the movement of things, but for our context, it's called person's emotional state. So our emotional state is called vibration. And the thing is, the thing about it is, the whole, this is the finding of the physics, the finding of the science, that the whole world is on motion, and all these motions are called vibration. And vibration is and underneath I've said frequency, which is rate of intensity of emotion. Means, for instance, let's say this is a vibration, right? How many times my hand goes up and down per second, that's called that's a unit of the frequency, which is they call it different units like hertz and kilohertz or things like that. That's meaning of frequency. And it is said, and it is also experienced, love has got the highest positive frequency and energy. And the other thing to know is vibration, frequency, and energy are interchangeably used. And a lot of times people say for vibration they say frequency, for frequency they say energy, and these are when it's talk is not too technical, it is easily used and easily understood too. Okay. Now let's see, can dua cause major achievements like healing? This may not, I mean, this type of thing may not be very new to you, but nevertheless, just be patient and watch this. Do you see the full screen, or you are seeing your photos covering the screen? Yes?
You are seeing the full screen.
Okay.
We can see the whole slide with the video.
Okay.
Example of
sorry, you can see the whole screen
this
now?
work
Sorry.
really works.
I lost.
Yes, 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 yes.
So
Thanks.
basically,
Thank
Joe, the former me, so the old me, was diagnosed about, I think, 3 years ago with cervical cancer. I had surgery and was thought to be, well, okay. But, well, the cancer got back in like a couple of months, and they said it was so severe, it was so aggressive. It had, I don't know, in a couple of months spread out all across, my whole belly to the peritoneum, I think. So the lining, across all your organs. And well, there was tumors the size of kiwis, the size of, there was like a whole big fruit basket in there. It was a mess. They said we looked at the scan and they said it's all white. I guess it's covered all over. So basically they said there's a 0% chance you're gonna survive. Sorry. No. So we knew, my husband and I, we knew going into the interview with the doctor, because I felt it was wrong. I felt it for a long time, and they didn't want to give me the scan. And well, once they did, the result was this bad. And I knew what they were going to say. I knew they were going to say, there's no chance you're going to survive, because, I've read the statistics, I'm analytical, I read everything, So first thing I said is, I'm an analyst, it's my job. You probably got the numbers wrong. And, there's always a chance that there's someone who can survive. But well, somehow I did the chemo. I did all the, I did everything. I did diet. I did everything you can think of, magnets, all the shit out there.
Matter to matter.
Yeah, and at first I had a lot of faith, thinking, I can beat this. And I was very strong in the beginning, but somehow they had to repeat to me over and over again, whatever you do, it's not going to work. You won't survive. There's no chance in hell you're going to live through this. You might live a month longer, but that's it. So no chance. At some point, they just basically said, go home and die. And after the chemo and everything they did to me, I was just sent home, and there was like no doctor in the Netherlands who would even, help me. And I went to Germany and I did expensive treatment. We lost all our money. We went through lots of difficult times. And well, then you showed up in my YouTube stream. And I thought, well, that's finally someone I can relate to. It's the science. It's not like woobly stuff. It's, I get this. And you know what? Let's just try it. So I read the book. I watched the videos. I did everything. I started meditations, and I thought, like, if I have the chance, I wasn't sure how much longer I had at the time. So, but I said, if I have the chance to go to an advanced event, I will. And then finally, what was it, like 2 months ago, I was in Mallorca, and well, still I went there, and it was like the lady said, I had the feeling like I might not be worthy enough, to receive the healing, because there were people in wheelchairs, and I was like, I'm not, perhaps not be worthy enough to get healed. And I know on the last day I got the coin from you, and then I felt so much love and the gratitude, yes, already just from being selected, I guess. And
gratitude is okay. Just curious.
And that's true. Because, and I'm not like, I'm very analytical, so I wasn't like up to that. I didn't have the experience, with the movement and everything, and I was, still trying to get beyond the analytical mind, and I was struggling really hard for the whole week. And I can only tell that this is so true, because I know before I had the healing on the last day, and when I walked into the room, I felt it already. I knew I was okay, and I laid down, and you people, they were still standing up, you know, still putting their hands over their hearts, and I lay down on the ground, and instantly my body started shaking, and I was like this, and just, and that went on and on and on, and at some point I think it felt like something just grabbed here, something inside of me, and just pulled it out, and I thought, it's gone, it's lifted, it really.
Listen closely, because that was the experience, yes? Now, there should be an effect in her biology as a result of it, yes or no?
Yes. So, well, here comes the cool part. So, you know, and it happened, and I was laughing and crying, and I felt so blessed, and I went home the same night, and I came home, and I told my husband, you know, I think I'm okay. I think I'm healed. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, it's, you know, it's difficult with cancer. It's not like I could instantly see or anything. So I was like, okay, now, you know, I feel I'm okay, but we have to prove it, you know, because otherwise people are not going to believe me. So we went for a scan. Just before we came to this event, I had the results, and I've done a PET CT scan, and they actually pulled me through twice to make sure. And there came the words I thought I would never hear from a person wearing a white coat. But he said, you know what? There's absolutely nothing to worry about. There's no single trace of cancer left in your body.
If I stop this here, I think that's good enough to show you that what I wanted to use to see that. But I have to also add to this and two things. One is the testimonials like this are in abundance. It's not that I have it's only one or two. And although I usually hear a lot to Joe Dispenza, but there are other people other than Joe Dispenza that they are also in. This is, to me, this is a new, I always say, tsunami of ma'arif coming from the West. That's the terminology I use for this coming. And I'll show you that a lot of this stuff that they say is really, they are very strongly rooted in Quran and in Hadith. So really is those that I see it as what Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has said, that towards the end of the time, the ma'arif of Ahlul Bayt or ma'arif of Ma'sumin will prevail, or ma'arif of Allah will prevail. And it is prevailing, but there is no guarantee, and there is no anything to say that definitely this ma'arif must come from the Muslim side only, or all of it from Muslim side, or if at all from Muslim countries. It's really to do who is more on the way of finding it. Of course, my point is a different thing. Do not misunderstand me. A lot of base, of course, fundamentals of ma'arif, of irfan and things are coming, but these people are also tapping into ma'arif of Quran, and okay, whether they know it or not, that's a different thing. So there are a lot of these testimonials around, but I want to tell you an experience of my personal experience, which is I try often, I share my own experiences, which goes with this, so that to tell you, it's not only I've learned this from them, I've seen it from them. 3 years ago, before I come to this time to New Zealand, I was in Qom. And one day when I went to take my morning shower to go to office, when I came off the shower and I was just dressing up, a telephone call came from the office, and while I was on the phone, I noticed that I cannot pronounce few words. I cannot say those words. Those words are on my tongue. They will are in my mind. They're coming to my tongue, but I cannot say them. So I realized I've got some problems. So with difficulties, I ended the call, and I went to there was in the building that my office was, the best neuroscientist, neuroscientist of the home was in that, and they had a clinic. So I went to his clinic. He saw me after only half an hour, which he usually was booked for a year or months. And then when I spoke to him, I couldn't talk very well. He sent me immediately for an MRI, and I went and I did an MRI. And when I went back to him, was about probably afternoon. He said, "Saeed, you have got a stroke. You have to go to hospital right now. I mean, some veins in my brain has been blocked and so clotted. So it was a stroke." So I was hospitalized for 3-4 days in Rome. And they did all the tests from my heart and, you know, all those things that they do. And they did not find anything that they could sort of fix it from other side. So it was like that. I started, after that, it didn't cripple me. I could still manage, and all those difficulties of my talk went away quite soon. I started meditating. And I know we have most of you guys that I know here, we have spoken about meditation a lot, and you know that I'm a very strong believer in meditation, and I've spoken even 2 years ago a couple of lectures to say and sort of prove that Ma'sumin and prophets, peace be upon him, and all the prophets have been meditating, and meditation is not something that is new. Although it is ancient, everyone knows, but it is not religious. It's very religious. And I myself, at the age of 27, when I came across Marhum Ayatollah Nejabat, who was my sort of teacher, if you like, or coach, or whatever you want to name it. He was giving me meditation, but he was not using the name meditation. He was telling me, you get up in the morning, do this, do that. So it was basically. So anyway, I went on meditation. And I was on meditation. Then I came in November 2019. I came to New Zealand and I stayed here. And while I was on my normal, regular early morning meditation, around 4 or 5 in the morning, going to this, especially I used to do it at the seaside. I love to go to the beach and do my meditation. And I went to this public system of health to investigate further about that stroke. And it took about a year until I got to the point that I did MRI here. I did CT scan from my brain. A lot of these investigations and things, until I went the final stage. I was seeing a stroke specialist. That the stroke specialist had put my MRI from home and MRI from New Zealand, put it together, and he was telling me, I do not understand how come you have had a stroke, but it is not showing, because he was telling me that if you have gotten a stroke towards the end of your life, you can see it on MRI, it doesn't go away. But he said, I don't know how come it is here, but it is not there. And he asked me, he was asking me any explanation. I said, I don't know really anything except that I do meditation. So I really owe that to the meditation that I was doing. And alhamdulillah, I got well very soon and very quickly. So my point is, and meditation also is a kind of dua. Anyway, we'll get on to those second session, inshallah, when I speak about the 4 steps of the dua and 4 types of the dua, and then 4 steps of the dua. I talk more about this part.
Hi all.
Okay, now I want to raise this issue. Is the religion subject of historicality? It plays a role in my talk. Why many issues and practices of the past sounds a bit irrelevant today, and there are plenty of them. I mean, let's first discuss whether religion is subject of historicality. That means, does it become historical? I mean, does it become old? Does religion become old? If not, why most of the religions, including Islam, that many of the things that is said on the basis of the Islamic or Christian or Judaism thing, they sound irrelevant when you can look at it when you look at it today. The reason is you have to differentiate. There's 2 things here. One is differentiating between Islam and between understanding of Islam. There are two different things. That's one. So that's where the difference comes. The other thing is that, okay, the understanding of the human being and the knowledge of the human being is always on the rise. We are always advancing. Human being is always advancing in his thoughts, in his findings, in his science and knowledge. So when these things happen, when this advancement takes place, basically some of the things of the past doesn't look right. I give you I give you tangible examples that I've seen in Iran, and Iranians, a lot of Iranians might have heard that. And okay, there was a time like 80 years ago, 70 to 80 years ago. Of course, it's not my time. I'm not that old, but I've heard it from my father. I've read it, and even the last president of Iran, a couple of times he mentioned it. Rouhani, Hassan Rouhani mentioned it in one of his talks and referred to it. It's very famous. That there was a time when the shower had come. It was very new. Before the shower comes, people used to go for public baths. There was big pools of water, and everyone goes to those pools. And you can imagine how dirty it would have been. I mean, all the people were going because also the shower did not exist at home, so people didn't go to bath every day. So when 60, 70, I have been into those. I have seen it myself, because it's still in some smaller cities they existed when I was child. I have gone just for seeing it, and I've been twice or three times with my uncles. I've been there when I was child, and I've seen how dirty it is. But at those times, ulama had made it haram to take shower. Taking shower was haram. It's very famous thing in Iran. And I don't know about Iraq and Najaf and Karbala. It might have not been too different anyway. So why? Because the knowledge of ulama those days, or I mean the whole people, not only ulama, and Iran was very backward country. I mean, basically, after the fall of Ottomans, we Middle Eastern we have been very much behind of the rest of the world. So that has been going on, and it's still, we are catching up, but still we are a lot behind. So because there was the knowledge of biology knowledge was not there, medical knowledge was not there, they did not understand, they did not have any idea of when so many people get together in the same water, how dirty it can be, how quickly disease can be transmitted. That was it. So basically what I want to get at is, by the advancement of the knowledge, the perception of the religion becomes different. So historicality really applies to human being, not to religion, not to Quran, not to Hadith, not to the Hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. We see that Hadith is, there is a Hadith, it means something there at the time, but when it comes to today, it will be different thing. The meaning should be updated. It should correlate with the overall environment and overall life of the human being. I don't want to go too much into that, but I have those who are more familiar with me. They know that I have a lot to talk about that if I want to, or if it's needed. But anyway, so historicality is not of religion; it's of human being, and the religion, like any other things, needs to be updated. And inshallah, when ulama get to these things, especially because there is a bit of resentment about new science, I have discussed, those people who know me, they know that I have a lot of acquaintances and a lot of friends in Rouhanis, in scholars, because at least for the last 25 years, up to 5 years ago, for 25 years, one of my important jobs was to bring Rouhani from Iran to New Zealand for like resident alim for 1 year or two. So that was my job. So I really came to know a lot of them, and I have with some of them which are relatively known if I tell their name. I have online discussions, so I know what is in their mind, and we discuss a lot of things. So anyway, introduction, paradigm shift. And what I wanted to talk about in this topic, paradigm shift, is when it comes to relating to my just past talk about historicality, we have to change some of our paradigms. You cannot understand the religion with the same old paradigms. I don't want to go too much into that, except talking about relationship of rituals and religion. A lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of Muslims, a lot of maybe Christians as well, I'm not aware of that, but a lot of Muslims take rituals a strongly important part of the religion. It is important, but they take it like the goal of the religion. They take it the worship itself. Ritual is not worship itself. Ritual is a means of worshiping. I'm not talking about salat as ritual. I'm not talking about Hajj when I say ritual. Even in salat and in Hajj, they are wajib, they are compulsory, but they themselves are means of elevating the soul of us. So they themselves are not religion. They themselves are rituals of the religion with which we embark on the journey that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked for us. But especially for other religious rituals, there's some other rituals that are not your compulsory daily or whatever termly obligations. Like let's say that azadari, that's one of the famous ones. Azadari for people has become, for many people, is ibadat itself, is worship, whereas it is not worship. Azadari is not worship. Azadari is a means towards embarking on and getting proximity, creating proximity to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to his to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are all why for all of them we say qurbatan ilallah, because everything we do is for proximity to God, for qurbatan ilallah. Otherwise, I've heard this many times from Marhum Ayatollah Najabad, my Ustad in 30, or I don't know how long ago it was, about 40 years ago, 35 years ago. He was saying everything. He was referring to the studies of Jose. He was talking about all those. He was telling to his Jose students. I was not his Jose student. I had some different relationship with him. But I have been sometimes to Jose and to his classes, such as going to visit him, and I've sat in the class and I've heard him saying that everything that you learn in this Jose and in the studies that you do, they only worth as much as shows you Tawheed. Otherwise, it is Tawheed that you're after. No, it's not about these studies. So rituals the same. Rituals is the same. Rituals is to bring us close to the matter, to the religion, to God. I give you an example. If I've asked this question from few people, I've heard some weird answers, and some of them good answers. That the azadari for Imam Hussein is what you have to feel the grief and sadness in your heart, right? If you go to Africa, some African tribes are for azadari and for mourning. They dance. Some of them they dance around fire, or some of them they just dance. What would be the situation if they become Shia and they dance for Imam Hussein? Would it be unethical? Would it be irreligious? Would it not be accepted as azadari for Imam Hussein? And I want to bring this to dua, prayer. Okay. We do the prayer in a certain manner. In a certain manner, we sit and do our prayer. But is this really the only way that prayer can take place? The way we do dua, is it the only way? You sit, masalan, you sit and recite dua qome and say, yes, I've done my prayer, I've done my dua. Is there not? There's nothing wrong with that. But the question is there not any other way to do your prayer? Is there not any other way to do, masalan, du'a tawassul? Is there not, in terms of zarf, in terms of container I'm talking about, in terms of the way you do it? I'm not talking about changing the words. I'm only talking about doing it in a different way. Is this what is that word when you do something new, which is, oh, I forgot the name in Arabic. There's an Arabic which comes from ibda. Anyway, which is they say it is haram. Anyway, is this one of those ibda'at, you made up by yourself and it's haram? This is what we are going to discuss. I don't believe in. I don't think it's like that.
So you mean, sorry, Sayyidina, you mean bid'ah?
Sorry?
Talking about bid'ah.
Bid'ah, ahsan. I lost the word. Thank you very much. Yes, bid'ah. And they say, but if we do dua in a different way, is it bid'ah? That's the point that we want to discuss. That's the point I'm raising. And dua is the content. The content is important, and also not only is the content which is important, it is also not important whether it comes to your tongue or not, because the communication between the tongue, when we say the dua by tongue, we are not. This is not the way Allah hears us. Of course, Allah hears everything, but when we hear that Allah is Sami, it doesn't necessarily mean that Sami'iyat of Allah is that your kalamat vibrates on the air and goes and it reaches to the ear of God. It's not like that. What the communication and hearing of us to God, at least one of the important ways of it is your heart. It's through the heart, okay? It's not through the tongue. We say it by tongue so that we do ilgha to our heart. So that's why we are doing the dua. That's why we use these words. We say it, or masalan, you think about zikr. What is zikr? You keep zikr. Zikr is not going to God. Zikr is going to heart, and heart relates to God. That's important. That's a topic by itself. I talk about the language of the dua. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to gather from this part of our talk, paradigm shift, that we should not take that these rituals, the way we do dua or azadari or whatever, is the only way to do it, and there's no other way doing it. And yes, other people are doing it in a different way, and and also what I want to address towards the end of our talk, not tonight, the second session, that mostly we do it wrong. We are doing the dua in a wrong manner. That's why dua, istijabat of dua and answering of the dua is considered miraculous. Well, who says it is miraculous? Why should it be considered as a miracle? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, which part of it is miracle? If you are correctly asking, it shall be given. So there is also wrong way. A lot of times we are doing our dua in a wrong manner. Inshallah, we talk about it in 4 steps of the dua. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here, I want you to understand vibration. So please watch this clip, this short clip, so that you get a grasp of what vibration is. Let me see how much more time. Oh, we're already. So we hear 4 or 5 minutes of this, and because this is about 8 minutes, or maybe we hear the whole 8 minutes and we leave the rest for second session.
Whether you realize it or not, frequency and vibration hold an extremely important yet hidden power that affects our lives, our mental and physical health, and our consciousness. The science of somatic.
Sorry, is the video? Can you see the video?
Yes.
Thank you.
Which is the study of visible sound and vibration, proves that vibration and frequency are the organizational foundation for the creation of all matter and life. When sound waves move through a physical medium, such as land or water, the frequency of the waves has a direct effect upon the structures, and this works within the human body as well. To better understand the power of sound frequency, let's discuss the Chladni plate experiment, named after the German physicist and musician who made this concept visible. In his famous experiment, he showed how moving a violin bow against a metal plate covered with sand could visually display the movement of sound. The sand concentrated in areas where the plate was not vibrating. Through his work, he was able to conclude that sound or frequency travels in waves, and he was the first scientist to clearly demonstrate this connection. Take a look at these images to see how different frequencies create different effects to the structures of the sand. As the pitch of the tone increases, geometric patterns form and become more complex. One of the most important frequencies that you may hear of often is that of 432 hertz. Hertz refers to the number of vibrations or cycles per sound. So why is this frequency so important? It vibrates on the principle of golden mean phi and unifies the properties of space, time, light, gravity, matter, and magnetism with biology, DNA code, and consciousness. It has profound effects on expanding our human consciousness, as well as on the cellular level of our bodies, and is considered to be a superior tuning due to its positive effects. This is a natural frequency, and it's stated to be a pure tone of math fundamental to nature and is mathematically consistent with the patterns of the universe. Modern science has begun to recognize what ancient civilizations knew long ago. Everything is in a constant state of vibration. In fact, this frequency is said to be connected with everything that is, including the works of the ancients, such as in the construction of the Great Pyramid. Everything has a range of frequency, including every organ and cell in our bodies. Scientific research has shown that our cells resonate with and respond to different frequencies. When we are in resonance, or the act of resonating and producing positive feeling states, we are in balance. Frequency has a hidden power to affect our thoughts and our minds, as well as our bodies and ultimately our society as a whole. When our music is based upon a tuning standard of our choosing, we can resonate with the Earth's frequency and attune ourselves to a consciousness that aligns with a positive life. Sound is more than just vibratory signals. It interacts with life and helps to shape it and sustain it. It acts as a conduit of conscious intent between people, societies, and entire civilizations. We are all energy bounded by frequency.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor.
Okay, this is the second part of the clip. It also is 3-4 minutes, but I want to leave it for next week so that also it refreshes your mind as well. But because it's already here around 4 minutes to 11, so I don't want, it took about an hour for 50 minutes so far. So I want just to throw a food for thought, and inshallah we come back again at the same time next week Sunday, inshallah. And that is what you heard about frequency and what you heard about all these things in this 3-4 minutes. Have you ever thought why the closest time that a human being is to God, the closest time is in prostration? In prostration, when we do sajdah, and you know that A'immah Ma'sumin alayhi salam, the Prophet, Uwais al-Qarani, Urafa, and some of the very well-known people that we hear about them, that they have had sajdas, long, very, very long hours of sajdah during the night. I mean, very in early mornings or those times. And have you thought why? And just think of it that I just wanted to drop to you and refer you to the frequency of our heart. And when you get close, when you go to sajdah, your heart is close to the earth. And there's a frequency between heart, earth, and between earth and the rest of the universe. So these are things. So when you want to be heard louder, you have to go further down to the earth. So anyway, that was just something to ponder upon. Inshallah, we will come back. I can give 7 minutes for any question if I can answer now. Otherwise, we leave it for next week. Thank you very much for listening.
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, Sayyidina, if I comment on the video clip of the lady with cervical cancer, which is she explained it in a nice way. There's a process, they call it tumor regression. We don't call it disappearance, there is relapse and remission. So the explanation she might have went through the remission, and this is different from one person to the other, depending on their immune system, how strong they are. It might be long time or short time, but there is a risk that this metastatic cervical cancer could have been come back. So that's the relation, relapse and remission. For this, in another way, if I go through your experience in Qom with the having shower, then you feel you can't speak or something, but at the same time you could do other things. You could walk and move your arms and others. But that's they call it TIA, transient ischemic attack. It's not a stroke. The lay word, they call it mini stroke. That's my interpretation for these symptoms, and it depends on what part of the body. For example, it could affect the occipital part, the back of, and then people feel blind at that time, or the speech center if it is in the temporal part that have limited blood supply. So still it's mini stroke, and your doctor done, or the neuroscientist done the right decision, because the first 48 hours of the mini stroke, it could convert to a full stroke, and then the rest of your life, God forbid, will be vegetative. But so that's just my interpretation, because I still strongly believe in meditation. And meditation is a dua, and in a form of even night prayer or other. That's a strong effect, inshallah. But there are some biological explanation for what the lady with the cervical cancer went through, or the example that you've given for us. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And
Sorry.
shukran. It's very nice that also the African people, whether they dance during, if they worship or express their sadness for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Yeah, the same thing we say if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa was born in New Zealand and declare Islam here in New Zealand. In Ramadan, always we start with eating date. Why? Because Rasulullah said that wherever you are in the world. But that's not the kind of ritual. But people stick to that so much. We say, if Rasulullah was not in Mecca, was in Auckland, and then he will break his fast by eating kiwi, not date. So yes, that's the relative from one part of the world or the other. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adnan. MashaAllah, Dr. Adnan, it always helps my talk, and it strengthens my talks, and I thank him for his input. And regarding my own case, okay, maybe that, I mean, that's I only quoted what my doctor said, that you could be right, but the point is there are plenty of those examples, and I saw that you were not arguing that it's not possible, but you were just giving a different alternative explanation to what I heard from my doctor. But in general, the people, and especially the ones that I've seen with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and there are plenty of them, like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and other people who are doing similar things and using this things, meditation and energy, and they clearly, it's interesting to know, they clearly in the Joe Dispenza's meditative workshops, which people attend in hundreds, and they get and the cure and healing they get are also in abundance. It's not like one person. This is not like one person happens for one person. Like like 50 people get healed in that session. And interestingly, some of them, I've heard the testimonials, some of them have said when they have explained their experience, because they go into a trance mode, and then when they come back and they explain, I saw 14 nur or 14 light came to me and around me, and then they did this to me, they did that to me. Or some of them have said, I saw 12 nur, or some of them have said, I saw 5 nur or 5 lights coming, which is amazing when you look. I mean, this is, I mean, obviously I just related in my own mind when we with our 14 Masumin, 12 Imams, or what do you call it, Panchtan and things like that. So they do see things that we do believe in it, and it helps them as well. So anyway, yeah, as I said, it happens and it's working. And to me, to my understanding and to my explanation, is they have tapped into the frequency. Frequency is a state of the heart, right? They have tapped into the frequency of higher awalim, and as very much possible. Inshallah, we talk about them in our future sessions.
And alhamdulillah, nowadays what's different than the word cancer is much scary. Still now people are scared of it because 20 or 30 years ago it was death. But the advanced technology now with the advance of chemotherapy, radiotherapy, actually Professor Azra in 19 days in Atlanta, she will give a lecture 29 of this October. And there's a conference of Imamiya Medics in Atlanta. She's going to deliver a lecture. She believes, and the oncologists believe that nowadays 86% of cancer are curable. It's not the same impact that people are scared of it with these advanced technologies and therapy. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Adnan.
Shukr lillah.
Any other point? Anyone?
Thank you, Said. May I have a question?
Sure.
When we talk about the frequency of the earth, for example, or frequency of the body, what is it in reality? I mean, because the earth itself, it has a frequency in terms of how it's circulating around the sun, for example, let's say. It has another frequency in terms when we compare it, for example, to the solar and like the whole system. Because I think frequency is something when you compare something to another thing. For example, when you shake your hand, it has its frequency. I can say that in 1 minute you're shaking your hand, for example, 20 times, 30 times. But the hand itself, when the blood goes into the hand, again, it has another frequency of the heart that it's generating a frequency. So when we say, when you point out the term frequency of the earth in Sajdah, for example, what does it mean in reality? What is the meaning of frequency of the earth?
Okay, thank you, Hossein. Is that Hossein, right?
Yes.
Hossein John, thank you very much for the question. Of course, the point I was trying to raise and make us think about it is when we go down. This is what I mean. Okay, this is not something that is quoted from an imam or from a prophet. This is what I am relating to these things, and I'm saying when we are going to sajdah, our heart, you know that this is a proven science now. Our heart, or every human being, has got an electromagnetic field going around him, right? And especially the power of electromagnetic power of the heart, they say, is 5,000 times more than the brain. So we have got a huge electromagnetic power around us, and so that is why, maybe that is why, because it's much bigger than us. It's around us to the diameter of 2 meters. It can have effects, and that is probably why Salatul Jamaat is so important, because when you get close to each other and in the vicinity of 2 meters or even less, our electromagnetic things and our frequencies are sort of interacting with each other. We're interacting, and we are creating a sort of synergy with it. And that's, for instance, in Salatul Jamaat, that's probably why they say this hadith is there. I mean, listen, I'm only saying probably why that it says the Salatul Jamaat, when the number reaches to 10, the sawab of it cannot be even measured by any angels. So what I mean is, when we go to sajdah, our electromagnetic of us of our heart resonates with because we are in sajdah, we are in the best probably frequency that we should be, because if we are calm enough and we are in the proper mode, and we can resonate with the electromagnetic forces of the earth, and then it resonates, and it creates that synergetic vibes that can go up, and that's what I'm referring basically. Otherwise, the way you put the question is, what does the frequency of heart exactly mean? I'm referring to the interaction of our electromagnetic vibes with the earth when we go to sajda. And that was only a question. I said, could it be that? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay. So it means that like it's in a specific energy which does not seem to be a materialistic thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not based on a material.
as you said, the point is, see, we have got, I mean, we are made of all molecules, and then there are millions of atoms in us, right? And those, every atom in us, they have got a certain number of electrons, and all these electrons, because of the attraction and things that they have, they're creating a magnetic force, right? In us itself, there is a magnetic force, and Earth the same thing. Earth has got billions and billions of types of electrons and different types of electromagnetic forces. So I'm saying we are interfering with it, and I've not measured it. It's a paradigm that I'm talking about it. We are resonating with it. So with this resonation, so we can create a bigger what do you call it, vibes emoting from our heart. So that's why people in sajda, a lot of time people they break into tears, because the heart is basically the fundamental of our touch with higher awalim. It's not our body, right? Anyway, give more thought to it. Anyway, I just wanted to give it to you so that we can think about it, and you can reject it. That's fine. And if times allow, next week again, if you can bring it up, if you have few new findings about it, and go read and do a little bit of research. There are interesting things out there, I'm sure. Okay, if you allow, I have to go and give myself 10 minutes and then go to some online talk with Qom for other issues, inshallah. Thank you very much
Thank you
for attending to this.
Thank you very